Hello, my scrappy friends. It's Kim back from Memories in Time. Today I'm here as I continue this Scrapbooking 101 series. Last week I talked to you about just really basic tools that you need when you want to begin scrapbooking or any type of paper crafting. And so today I'm back to share this mass stash of adhesives. What are different types of adhesives, how you use them, and why you need them. So some of the things that I have pulled from my stash is this very old, very well loved bottle of liquid glass, and it's about half full. This stuff is incredible. We'll talk about this. I'll show you. I'm only going to show you basic ways to use this. There's so many different ways you can use this, but I'm going to show you some basic ways to use it as adhesive. And then as this series sort of moves along, I'll show you different ways you can use this to really ramp up fun things in your paper crafting, card making, scrapbooking. Then I'm going to show you some uses for thin 3D foam tape, and I have some that's already open here. So when you get a package of thin 3D foam tape, you get two widths, and so I'll show you ways that I use both of those. And then there's some thin 3D foam dots, two different sizes. And then of course the exclusive close to my heart tape runner. Like, I really need to buy stock in these. These things are amazing. And then we have the Tombow Clear Mono Liquid Glue. Love this. And it's dual tip. You have a fine and a broad tip. And then the Multi Liquid Glue. And this is a white all-purpose glue pen tip and a broad tip. And then I have micro glue dots, and I have mini glue dots, and then I have what I call the classic, very thin, the ultra thin glue dot, and we'll talk about using those. So just to get started, I want to talk to you, and I just have a piece of white cardstock, white daisy cardstock. And so just to get started, I want to talk about just the basic adhesive. So if you want to start scrapbooking and you don't want to invest in all these different types of adhesives, tape runner is a must. You have to have a tape runner. So tape runners are wonderful because, let me grab something out of my little stashy bowl here. So this is a thin cut that has been stamped, and it says Love Lives Here. So I can just adhere this directly by putting some adhesive on here, and it just goes flat. So the thing about the tape runner, the adhesive tape runner, is things will go flat. So I'm just going to start up here in the top. And now that is, it's on there, it's not going to move. Now the thing about this tape runner is if I do need to reposition it, I have just a few minutes before it actually sits and becomes permanent. And so it left some residue of adhesive behind, but it didn't tear this and it didn't tear the white daisy paper. Now once that has sat there for a few minutes and I tried to remove it, it would tear, okay? So it does eventually become permanent, but you have a few minutes of playtime with it. So that's, and then another way that you use this is just to adhere pictures to your photo mats, pictures to a cardstock mat, adhering pattern paper to cardstock, adhering cardstock to cardstock. So I know this is white and it's hard to tell, but let's say that I want to adhere this down. So here we go. So any type of adhesive that you need to scrapbook, this tape runner is perfect for. Okay, so that's the tape runner. Now let's talk about, I'm going to use the same exact thin cut. It's just stamped in smoothie ink. And I'm going to show you how to use these thin foam tapes. So you can tear these. They're very easy to tear. And then you just put it where you want. You can also cut it. I am one who typically cuts because I feel like I can control much easier than like when you tear. I'm not one who likes to tear this. I like to cut it. And you can cut it as thick or as wide as you need it. I shouldn't say thick, but as wide as you need it. And so that way there's no waste on it. And it goes exactly where you need it to go. And what this does is it adds just a little lift up on your project. Just a little lift. And I love it. I like this. I probably need stock in also because I do use a lot of this. And then, oops, and then see right there, that's a little too wide. So you just peel it off, snip it down a little. And then this thinner piece, and I use this on card making and scrapbooking. So I'm putting the thinner piece there. And then all you do is you just come back and peel the paper backing because this is sticky on both sides, front and back. And you just peel the paper backing off. And this sticks down. But I will tell you, as a beginning paper crafter, scrapbook, or card maker, put this where you want it because it is not as forgiving and repositionable as the tape runner is. So let's put this right here. And just so you can have a point of reference, this is flat to the page, okay? See that? It's flat to the page. This has a little dimension. Can you see how it stands out off the page? So that just gives a little depth, a little visual interest to your cards or your scrapbooking pages. And when you put that in your page protector in your album, it doesn't bulk it up. It gives a nice little lift without all the bulk. So that is wonderful. Love, love, love that. Now, in addition to using this type of tape, there is also the dots. Now, when I first started becoming a foam tape lover, I started with the dots and then quickly realized, no, I love the tape. So, and if you see, I've actually even cut those in half to make sort of like the shape you need. So you can also use the dots to add dimension, and they're the same way. They're sticky on both sides. So there's a paper film that you'll need to remove, and then you've got the larger size and the smaller size, and it does not tell me on here what the size is of those. And so then you will just peel these off just like you did on the tape. And stick this down to get that visual interest. And the thing that's fun about using this when you're doing cards is you can put some embossing thread behind that. And you've got that visual lift there. Can you see? You've got that visual lift, and then the embossing thread just comes out easy. Or like if you were putting this over on a scrapbook page and you were putting this over a corner of a photo, it lifts up just beautiful. Love that. So that's ways that you can use the foam dots and ways that you can use the foam tape. Okay. So next up is, let's say I did not want to put, like I could lift foam tape here. This would be really difficult. This is where you would have to cut like this size dot in half. Or you would have to cut really thin pieces of this. That's how you could lift that. But let's just say I want to glue this down. So this is where it's intricate. So I use this pen tip. And hopefully it is not, I don't have to stick a pin in it. I haven't used this one. Oop, nope, I'm not going to have to. This not used in a while. So this does dry clear. And then you just like back in elementary school, you just put your glue where you want it to be sticky, and it will dry clear. And you do not get any lift with this. It just sticks down and it will dry clear. And then you just position where you want it. You have a few seconds to position where you want it. And you learn as you use this that you do thin little applications of this. Otherwise it will smush out. And if you're gluing down something that you stamped and it smushes out, it could cause your ink to get wet and smear just a little. So that's a way that I would use that. The same way with the broad tip. Now, I'm going to be honest, very rarely do I use the broad tip, but let's just say I'm gluing something down and I don't want to waste a lot of the tape runner. So then that's where I would come in and use the broad tip and apply and then stick down. That's how I would use that broad tip on that. Okay, so anything that you're doing intricate, any type of intricate Cricut cut, any type of intricate die cut, this white multi-glue is perfect for, okay? Now, I use this liquid, the Aqua, the clear. I use this and the liquid glass pretty much in the same way. So, one of the ways that I may use this is when I want to glue down a sequin. Now I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can use adhesive on things like sequins. So on this, the tip is sort of gunked up on me, and I store these upside down like this so that they're ready to go. So all I'm doing, hopefully you can see this, is I'm just putting literally a drop there, okay? Just a drop. And then I'm just going to set my sequin down. That will hold the sequin. That's a way that I use this. I could use this just like this on this. However, this is a little bit thicker, and I just prefer this type of glue on this. You can use this glue on intricate cuts as well, okay? So that's one way to use this. Another way to use this is on some of our acrylic shapes. And I'm just putting a little dot of glue on the acrylic shape. The acrylic shapes or the wood shapes. I'm going to turn that little guy over. And then, of course, you have to let it dry. So that is a way to use that. And also you could use it on like the wood shapes. Okay. So keep in mind I said that this liquid glass and this Aqua liquid glue I sort of use in the same way. I find myself reaching for this more. I have this, but I do not use it very often. And it has a broad tip as well. And it has some little teeth. I don't know if you can tell. It's got some little teeth on that tip. And the same way, you would just rub this and then press it down. This does seem to be a little, it's wetter, I suppose, because, you know, than this. This is a thicker, this is a thinner, if that makes any sense. Consistency. So then also with liquid glass, and you have to, the thing about liquid glass is you have to keep a pin in it. Now I have the pen tip applicator. I'm not a fan. Close to my heart does sell this. I am not a fan. It keeps clogging. This piece is supposed to prevent it from clogging. However, when I use this, I literally have to run it through hot water and do all of that. So I'm just not a fan of this one. But the reason that you have the pen tip applicator is it does help you when you're working with really intricate things like this, because you can use this adhesive in the same exact way and it dries clear. This stuff is majorly permanent though. Keep in mind, when you put this down and it dries, there is no moving it and it does not come off. This stuff is the best ever. I love liquid glass. And I store this upside down as well. And I just have, this is a pen from, I don't even know, some basic gray or some adhesive, Making Memories, or some adhesive from long, long ago. So I use it in exactly the same way. So let's say I want to put a sequin here. I'm just going to put my liquid glass right there on my paper. And then I'm going to pull my tweezers, grab a sequin, and then the way I do this is I drop it into where I want it to go. And it will dry clear. Okay, it will dry clear. I think I got more than one sequin there. It will dry clear. Another way that I can use it is, let's say I want to put down one of these stars that has the, the thin line. So I can actually go along the outline of the star and put that down. And that puppy will, it will not come off. It will, when it's dry, it will not come off. Same way with these. I can outline with these with the liquid glass, or I can put liquid glass on the back and just stick it down. That's a way to use liquid glass. Okay. Now, and then you always want to just get your glue out of the tip and stick a pin back in. And then I store it upside down so it's ready to go. All of these liquid glues I store upside down. Okay. So that's the liquid glues. All right, now let's talk about glue dots. So let's say that I run out of adhesive. And, well, no, I don't want to show you that. I'm going to show you how to use this glue dot with some embellishing thread. So here's some gold embellishing thread, and I'm going to show you how to use the large glue dot, the ultra thin, with embellishing thread. So when you get our embellishing thread, it comes wound on a paper bobbin, and you want to use something, anything. I use a bone folder, and all I do is I just pull like that to get the crease out. Okay, and then so a way to use these ultra thin or the larger glue dots, which you can get a thicker glue dot, but I like the ultra thin, is and let me just trim this off because that's going to be weird if I don't trim it off. So to make like a embellishing thread loop that would stick behind something, and I just use my embellishing thread, stick it right down, and I usually do that in loops of 3, and I sort of stagger the size a little. And then what I typically do is I pick up a second glue dot because my thumb has touched that. I pick up a second glue dot, and that sort of seals that in really good. Whoops. And then you just trim off here. And now what I would do is, now typically I would not put thread behind a little gnome. These are some leftovers that I have in a little bowl. So let's say that I just wanted, let's say, I want that thread there. And then you just stick it down like that. And now you have thread. So this type of flower would be something that I would do this little loop behind. And I would do the glue dot loop before I put the 3D foam tape on there. Okay? So that's a way to use the larger glue dot. Okay? And this one is the ultra thin glue dot. Now, this glue dot is a mini glue dot. And let me open this up. And we carry these. So this is the size, and it's a little thick. This is the size of a mini glue dot. So this would be perfect. And if I'm using either wood or acrylic shapes, I stick my acrylic shape to that and peel it off. Okay? And now that's going to stick down. Let's say I want to use the wood heart. Stick it on there and then stick it down. Okay? So that is how I use the minis. Lots of people will run a little ribbon or something around that. I typically do not because I have a little adhesive bowl off to the side. that my glue dots sit in. And so my glue dots usually end up, when you're watching me do process videos, you'll see me just pull the roll out like this. That's kind of how I do my glue dots. Okay. Then a micro glue dot is a itty bitty teeny tiny. It's for more intricate things. And this is the size of a micro. Now a micro glue dot you can use on these little thin. I'm going to show you how you can roll it to use it. So what I do with it is I just roll it over top of itself like that, and then stick it right on there like that. Also on these ultra thin, I would actually use my liquid glass and outline that and stick it down. But you can roll that glue dot and stick it right down, and it's not going anywhere. Same way with these. You could roll it over on itself. And like that one came off. So all I would do is come over here and stick it down on my, well, it's not, that one's not going to come off. Rolled it right into the tip. And then you just stick it down. And you do 2 or 3 of those around your star, and then you stick your star down. So those are ways that I use the micro and the mini glue dots. I could also attach sequins. Now if I was going to attach a sequin, I would grab a sequin out. And the reason that I'm using the blue sequin is just so that you can see it on the white paper and then pick it up with my tweezers. So there's many uses. Like I've showed you how to attach sequins with glue dot, with liquid glass, and with the Aqua mono liquid glue. So there's many different uses for these adhesives. If you wanted to get started, probably and you didn't have a budget to pick up all the different sizes of glue dots, I would probably definitely go with micro first because it's smaller, and you could use a couple more to make something larger like this, to make something stick. Or I would go with this size and you can roll it down to what you need. Glue dots are a must for me. I mean, you just have to have glue dots in your stash. Pick a size though that is going to be multifunctional for you. If I could only afford one of these adhesives, these liquid adhesives, I would 100% choose liquid glass, because there's just, you can use it on anything, and it does dry clear. It's a little shiny, so if some of the adhesive smushes out and you don't get it wiped away immediately, it does dry a little shiny. This does not, and this does not. So this definitely would be my one liquid adhesive that I would choose. Definitely this is a must. I would get I own stock in these, or I should own stock in these. I do not, but I should, because like when I order these, I order 6 to 12 at a time. Love these. And then if I had to choose between which foam, then I definitely like the foam tape, because you can control how much the size that you're putting down over the dots. I have both in my stash, but I would prefer this. So hopefully that is just some tips for any newbie, anybody who wants to get into paper crafting. Those of you who are experienced, you're probably not going to walk away learning anything new from this today. This is just something that I know I have a lot of people who follow me in my Facebook group and on my page who just follow and they want to learn about paper crafting or scrapbooking, but they've never really like jumped in yet. And so I'm doing this basic scrapbooking 101 series, and so there is just some information on adhesives and different ways to use them. There's a lot out there. And if you have any questions about any of these adhesives that I've used today, or if you have questions about how to purchase, be sure and let me know. I will leave links below for every single adhesive that I showed you today, so that you can go look at it. And then just pay attention if you follow me as I do process videos. You'll see me use different things. Now, you won't see me pull glue dots out of a box. You'll see me use glue dots on the roll like this, okay? And you'll see me use foam tape with scissors as I cut it the way I need it. You'll see me use, especially when I'm making cards, use the large ultra thin glue dot to do the thread behind the card, okay? So if you have any questions, let me know. I'd be more than glad to answer them for you. And thank you guys so much for stopping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Happy scrapping!